I've been inspired to think these last couple weeks as we've seen Gemini 2.0 Flash image out and also the GPT-4o image out that, boy, there is a lot of power in a deep integration of the text and the image modality as opposed to a sort of arm's length, tool call type of integration. Do you see that happening across many more modalities? Is there a world in the future where, Gemini, whatever Pro, instead of calling AlphaFold, is sort of deeply integrated with AlphaFold such that those latent spaces are actually merged and sort of co-navigated in the way that we are now seeing with language and image?
AlphaFold's a good question. I think a very good design decision for Gemini was that would make it multimodal first. And it's been incredibly strong at image understanding, video understanding. It had native image generation trained within Gemini 1. Actually, it's in the technical report. It didn't end up getting released immediately as it was in its first form. But I think to your world model question, having everything deeply multimodal is super important, and training everything and getting that world model, not just over text, but over multimodal video, images, audio. That's been a cool aspect of Gemini. And it's great to see now these things are launching. People really liked the native image generation. They loved the fact that suddenly you can edit images. You can do a lot more kind of interactions instead of just calling what would be just a pure text to image model as a tool, and then it's very static. So anything that you can bring in to the world model and train jointly, you're going to have a much deeper experience and understanding. I think that's very cool. And then it goes to what's the dividing line? Where do you decide when to bring things into the kind of pre-training mix and have them kind of jointly understood? That's a really difficult question. I think right now, what you're seeing kind of across the board is a pragmatic choice of almost the most compressed information sources and large information sources first, and then they've been built out. So that was why text, I think, was a very natural starting place for a lot of these large generative models. Started with text that's so compressed and so knowledge rich and is available at scale. But then the decision of how to grow this out to maybe smaller scale sources of data or slightly less kind of information compressed is a difficult one. I know in bio, for example, genomics, it's very cool to try and co-train genomic generative models with a large language model. People look into that. And I don't know where the dividing line is, but it's going to be something about how much you get from co-training versus just calling as a tool, how much positive transfer there is from all the world knowledge within your kind of text and video and image space to this new task. If there's not much positive transfer, maybe there's not much benefit in co-training it, and maybe you just want to learn to use it as a tool. I think those are the main decision factors of whether you should bring it all into one world model or leave it as a separate expert system.